Our meetings are supposed to be our meetings are supposed to be recorded anyway. I just sometimes forget to mention that. Ms. Allen, the next thing that was on the agenda.
The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
Okay, did everyone receive the previous minutes from our last meeting?
I'm not quite sure if I did. When I was looking at my records, I had August 22, but I didn't see September 22.
I didn't receive them either.
So I asked that we table the previous minutes until the full council receive them and go over them, and then we can vote on it on the next meeting. Is the committee in agreement?
I agree.
I agree. I agree.
Are there any no's or any abstentions? Okay, that will be tabled to the next meeting. Thank you, you all. That passes with 7 yeses, no no's, and no abstentions. The next thing on the agenda is the next thing on the agenda was
It's the LSC chair report.
Okay, thank you. So, good morning, everyone, once again. We hosted a sip and set for parents to come out and, just get used to being back in the building, having a safe space. It turned out pretty good. I wish that more parents would have attended, but it was very informational, and it also kind of let us know that we are not alone. You know, some of us feel like we don't have a voice. Some of us feel like we don't have a place. But in that meeting space, it kind of really assured us that we do have a voice, we do have a place, we are important, and we are heard. I did get some feedback from some of the parents, and they said that it would be nice if we could have something like that in the evening, because some of them do work. A couple of parents shared that they would not mind doing like a parent support group. Not to mention, a few of the parents talked about what it's like having to deal with autistic children or children with mental illness. And it's a lot more of us that deal with it than don't. It's just that a lot of people be embarrassed. So within the meeting, I explained that we are taught to carry it alone, but in this day and age, we don't have to. And talking about it helps. So, that being said, we did not set another date because I wanted to speak with LSC first and speak with Mr. Ritchie to see you all thoughts, and is it something that maybe the LSC can chime in on, not on everyone, but just to come in to welcome like the parents and to let them know that you all are human too, and you all go through things. It's not just the parents. Also, I want to touch on the fundraising. I know we have a selection for it, but I want to touch on it in my LSC chair report. So I sent the email out requesting a special call meeting so we could jump on top of the fundraising. I didn't get a response, so that special call meeting couldn't happen. But I asked for you all to check your emails from time to time. And if you see an email in response to LSC, please try to respond, because there's some things that sometimes we have to vote on that can't wait to the next meeting. So that'd be the purpose of the special call meeting. But the fundraisers, I would like to start fundraising now, opposed to waiting close to June for the 8th graders to take a nice 8th grade trip. I don't know the situations of the 8th grade parents and their financial status, but if we can fundraise and take majority of the cost off of them, I think it'll give the kids something to work towards with their behavior and something to do with the fundraising. Right now, that's it for my LSC chair report. Mr. Ritchie, it is time for the principal report.
Thank you for that, Chairperson Perkins. Good morning, Council. I have placed the link for the principal's report into the Google chat, so you can open that up at your convenience. If you take a look at the report, it is structured a little bit differently. So as of SY23 this school year, the board has created a new system in terms of principal evaluation. So what you will see looking at the report now are the 4 different domains and what is assessed in each of those domains. So moving forward, you will see a report very similar to this one, in which I will list accomplishments under the domains for your review. In terms of the month of October for organizational leadership, thus far, our organization of the Student Council has begun. Students have begun the process of applying to prepare to run. Our counselor, Ms. Foley, came up with the name SCORE for Student Council, which would stand for Student Council of Revis Elementary. School-wide committee meetings have begun, meeting and planning activities throughout for the year. Remember me coming on, this was the way to ensure that we have teacher voice heard throughout the school in terms of all that we do. Committee meetings started last week. They will continue on this week. PAC meeting is scheduled. Our first PAC meeting for the year is scheduled for October 24th, 2022. Our academic interventionist, Ms. Reed, is taking the lead in correcting problems that we have within our specialized services division. A little bit more of that to be discussed soon. In terms of domain 2, all math and science textbooks have been delivered, as well as I put teacher additions, but that should be additions. The beginning of the year, BOY, beginning of the year assessments have been completed, and data is being used to strategically group students. A third CPS tutor has been assigned and will focus on middle school math for those students who we classify as Tier 2 and Tier 3 based upon the beginning of the year assessments. Thus far this year, I've done numerous environmental walkthroughs that began and will continue. We are now going to start adding the focus of our instructional look-fors in the classroom as well. At the school level, we are beginning with measurable objectives. And then on top of that, we have a slew of instructional look-fors that will be coming through from our ILT from the district level. Professional development around Skyline curriculum will continue throughout the year. And I have made a purchase for vocabulary and phonics books for ELA instructional blocks. In terms of Domain C, open house was held on September 28th. Literacy Committee is planning a family engagement reading night for November 10th, 2022. This week, Community Engagement Committee will meet and begin discussing an event for Halloween. We have not met yet, but my ideal is to have something like a parade for the students so they can show off their costumes and families can come out to take pictures and so on. Final changes, and maybe I shouldn't say final, but changes have been made to the scheduling to ensure that all students are receiving their DL service minutes and to reduce the caseloads of upper grade teachers in the specialized services department. That is my report for the month of October, with one question to be asked. I may be wrong. Do I discuss budget transfers here, or will that come later in the meeting?
We can actually discuss the budget now.
All right, thank you for that. So in terms of budget, based upon our 20th day enrollment, I have good news. Our enrollment was higher than expected, and we have received a positive adjustment in our budget of $18,929. That will be put into our state funding. In terms of budget transfers, I made 2 transfers from miscellaneous accounts, both to fit priorities that were established prior to my arrival. One budget transfer was for the amount of $7,500, and that was to cover the cost of our Urban Initiative soccer program after school. An additional budget transfer was created for the amount of $4,764. That was from our miscellaneous reading account into the reading fund, and that was for the purchase of our phonics and vocabulary materials. I also made another, I don't have it in front of me, and I will share it with the council through email, but I also made another transfer of approximately $2,500, and that was for miscellaneous to help cover the cost of our school bus fees and field trip fees for our primary field trip covering grades pre-K through 2. I can send more. Last night, I received information regarding our budget, some of our missing positions, and how they're creating a quote unquote savage. I am going to circle with the colleague who sent and shared that to get more information, and I will have more information on that for you at our November meeting. And that will conclude the principal's report.
Okay, I have one question. What was our budget for the year for 2022-2023?
When you say budget for the year, what do you mean?
Total, what was it that they gave us for the year, for this school year in all?
So the document that she shared with me later, I'm looking at various funds. I'll tell you this. All right. So at least let's start with this. With the SBB funds, I'm going to put it in the chat just so you can get a visual as well. So SBB funds is recorded as 1,105,062. And the adjustment for our 20th day enrollment was an increase of $18,929. And again, once I speak with the colleague, Ms. Trice, who shared this, I'll get more information on how to take this information and package it to share with the LSC or just forward this whole document to the council. Did that answer your question, Chairperson Perkins?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do anyone else speaking from the council have a question about Mr. Ritchie's principal report before we move forward? That's a no. Thank you, Principal Ritchie. Can Ms. Allen, can you please tell me what's the next thing on the agenda? Was there anything that you needed to vote on, Mr. Ritchie, for the budget? No? You muted. You muted.
Thank you for that. There are no major purchases coming up that has not already been discussed prior, or at least planned for prior last year. I do want to bring this up to the council though. I am considering, and so officially let me bring it up to the council. I am considering highly to not continue the pre-K special or prep for our 2 full-day classrooms. Essentially, we have an outside dance teacher that comes in for 2 hours a day. The cost is $100 per hour. So I do want to discuss this more with our pre-K teachers and the freed staff in the building, just to see scheduling wise if we could create something else, because it was budgeted last year for $37,000. We do have those funds and we can cover the program for the entire year, but those funds can also be used for anything related to pre-K education. So I really want my pre-K teachers and my ILT to have a voice in should we continue paying $200 every school day for this service, or can we create that service in-house and better put those funds to use? I did want to share that with you.
Not to mention that the dance teacher is hard to get along with. From experience, she is very aggressive, and not just to me. I've seen some of her behavior towards those kids too. In my opinion, she's not a good fit to work in our building because she do not have a welcoming tone, spirit, or nothing. She's a little too aggressive. I don't know nobody else experienced with her, but it is not nice at all.
Well, it seems apparent how Chairperson Perkins may feel. So just to add to that, what my drive is really, it was the sticker shock as seeing the first invoice that goes up to December. And I don't know, maybe I'm just cheap, but I'm like $200 a day for 2 hours is a bit excessive. I know it was planned for before, so that's why I do want to get my pre-K teachers input as well as the ILT. So I did want to share that with you that we may find other use for that funding geared towards pre-K, our early childhood, and spend it in a, I don't know, a way that's more conducive for us and our needs.
I've had experience with the dance teacher. I never noticed her to be aggressive. I was really shocked that you said that, Ms. Perkins. However, I've only had a short connection with her when she worked with the middle school team, or last year, while she tried to get plans on being with the middle school first. So anyway, it's unfortunate to hear.
It's unfortunate to hear, and it's very unfortunate for what I experienced. She walked in my face multiple times, yelling. She pushed that table up against me. She told me that I was disrespectful, and so was Mr. Ritchie, and that the art teacher felt disrespected, and he didn't say anything. He didn't even have a clue what's going on. And she's a compulsive liar. So she said she was told that she didn't have to leave the room, and I can choose any room in the building because she wasn't going nowhere. On top of that, she threw my stuff on the floor. Now, had she caught me a couple of years ago, she'd have gotten a cold instead of Miss Perkins. But because Mr. Powell had taught me some things, I was able to control myself, but I was steps away from a different outcome. Lucky it was a Friday and not a Monday, because I don't want to do a weekend in nobody's jail. It's not fair. I shouldn't have been pulled out of my comfort zone. I shouldn't have felt attacked. And if you doing that to adults, I can just imagine what you do to these kids. And I've seen her separate the kids. Oh, you get to get a snack, but you don't. You don't do that. These are kids. Those are little kids on top of that. So I don't like her as a person or as a human, period. And I don't think she's safe to be in the building. And she didn't only do it to me. She did it to a few more adults. Her behavior is terrible. But I am happy, Ms. Johnson, that your experience was different. But I don't trust her.
Wow, I'm so sorry. That's sad.
I ask that before we make a decision on this program, I first ask that we can call a special call meeting after Mr. Ritchie has the opportunity to speak with those teachers that would be impacted from the change, and he speaks to the teachers or the staff that's willing to make sure that they get a break because they deserve it too. And we figure out a way that benefit everyone. And then we can come back and make a decision on this. I think $37,000 is a little steep. And those kids barely even understand what she's saying. I'm an adult, and I half the time don't know what she's saying. That's why I didn't know until she pushed that table against my leg. Sorry. So I asked that before we make a decision on that we just put a hold to it and allow Mr. Ritchie the opportunity to speak with those parties, and then we'll do a special call meeting to come back to it. Ms. Allen?
Yes.
What was the next Anyone else had something they wanted to touch on this matter, council, before we move on? I'm sorry. No. Okay. What was the next thing on the agenda, Ms. Allen?
Okay, the next thing is the transitional planning.
Transitional planning. Mr. Ritchie, do you have anything for our transitional planning? You muted.
What do we mean by transitional planning?
So the last time when we set it up, transitional planning is like any plans of in the mindset, it was us coming back into the building. Also, transitional planning was preschool to kindergarten, kindergarten to first grade, what that would look like, if there was any transforming going on within the building.
Thank you for that. So to those points, well, one more question. Would a report be necessary for this? Should it go in the principal's report, separate report, or no report?
It can go on your principal's report.
Okay. So two things to those points. I have reached out to district officials. I want to have a COVID vaccination clinic at the school. Our rates of vaccinated students are pretty low. We did have a situation in which 2 students tested positive in the classroom, but almost the entire classroom was gone due to illness, but we only had 2 students that self-reported. So it kind of illustrates 2 situations. A, the low vaccination rates within the school. It was reported to me that there really weren't any clinics last year. So I would like to offer that to our families and community to have vaccinations available here in the school. So I'll have more information. If it happens prior to the next meeting, information should be coming home. If it's still in the planning stages, we could discuss it at the next LSC meeting. Also, in terms of transitional, as you know, due to high numbers in kindergarten, we were awarded an additional teacher. Because numbers kind of stabilize and that teacher is certified to teach specialized services, we made some strategic moves in order to ensure that all of our DL students throughout the building receive that. So all of that to say this, we will have a co-teaching situation in kindergarten. Our numbers in first grade is high as well. So looking at the budget, it appears as if they have awarded us another teacher position to help cover the size of kindergarten as well. I'm sorry, first grade as well. I still have to meet with my team to determine how we're going to utilize that position, as we don't have any classrooms readily available at this time. But with that, there is a trend of higher numbers at the primary level. We also have 4 classrooms of early childhood. My thought and ideal, and I'll run this past the council, is to open up our Go CPS to accept more applications at the primary level to start building the number of students within our building. So starting at primary as they matriculate up. So essentially what that means is probably pull in more of our pre-K teachers, pre-K students. They know the school, they know the community. And then of course that would mean more funding and more positions available to service our students. So that's just an ideal for right now. We can discuss it more at the next meeting.
Come on.
Okay, do anyone on the council have any questions or concerns about Mr. Richard's report on the transitional planning? Okay. I ask that all the guests that is on here, that if you have any questions, please write them down, because at open comments, you will be able to speak and ask whatever it is you have questions to, just to keep the meeting going. I ask that you write your questions down, please. Ms. Allen, what was the next thing on the agenda? I'm sorry.
The next thing on the agenda was the discussion of the CIWP.
Mr. Ritchie, do we have any update on the CIWP?
Not at this time.
Okay, moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie.
You're welcome.
Ms. Allen, what is the next thing on the agenda?
The next item is PPLC.
Okay, that's your report, Ms. Allen.
Yes, I don't have a formal report. I just wanted to note that we are still in the process of establishing the PPLC. While we do have our committee members, they've been elected, or we didn't have to have an election, but we have confirmed our committee members. We're currently in a process of attempting to establish the first organizational meeting, but we face some challenges with doing so. So hopefully we can move forward in having our first meeting very, very soon, but we did face some challenges in doing so. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you for that, Ms. Allen. What was the next thing on the agenda? I believe it's fundraising.
I have a discuss and review the budget transfers. Is that?
Okay, well, we did that
Okay.
right along with Principal Ritchie's report. So I don't think we have to revisit that again.
Okay.
Can we move to the next item?
All right. School uniforms.
School uniforms. Ooh, I hate them. Sorry. At the last meeting, we kind of talked about coming up with a plan about the uniforms. I know I have not met with anyone. I'm not sure have anyone else met to discuss and come up with ideas for the uniform. Council, anyone? Mr. Ritchie?
There have been no formal meetings. However, I think it's pretty safe to understand where the students come from, but just in case, would anybody on the council like to create a survey? Actually 3 surveys, one for students, one for staff, and one for parents and guardians, just to see or get their input. And then basically we can just follow what the community is asking for. Any takers to create a survey?
I guess not.
I may be able to do that with 8th grade. That could be an 8th grade challenge with the 8th grade team. So I'll work on that.
Ms. Johnson, are you saying have the 8th graders create the survey for all 3 bodies or all 3?
I'm saying make sure they have input, and as well as 8th grade team of teachers and counselors.
So I'm thinking something more school-wide, like to ensure that we have the voice of all of our stakeholders. I think there should be one consistent well, probably 2 primary and upper grade survey for children to get their input. And these don't have to be lengthy or involved, just basically
Right.
yes or no with just you know what I'm saying, additional information you want to share, but just so we can hear the voice before we make a vote that might go against what the community wants.
So initially you asked if I'm correct, if anyone would begin a survey or even, is that correct? Who would
If
be,
someone was created,
so if I create a survey, how are we creating a survey with all stakeholders creating a survey, or because I can create a survey with 8th graders. I can create a survey for students with 8th graders that could be student friendly from K through 8.
I like that idea, Ms. Johnson. Like, so
Okay.
basically you would take charge, put the ownership in 8th graders' hands, and 8th graders would create a student-friendly survey for the whole school.
Yes.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. I can work with my my ILT, to create a staff survey. Ms. Perkins, do you want to create a parent survey?
no.
You probably can't see me laughing at you.
Yes, I can definitely help create a parent survey. This is Ms. Allen.
Excellent,
Thank you for that, Ms.
Alan.
Allen.
Thank you. Okay, so now it's settled. Ms. Johnson will take care of K through 8. Mr. Ritchie will take care of the staff, and Ms. Allen will take care of the parents. You guys are wonderful. This
Now,
is a good morning.
before we move on, since we don't meet for a month, just for clarification, are we bringing these surveys back to look at and vote on before sending them out? Or are we basically keeping them as simple as possible to determine whether yes or no, keep uniforms, and provide any additional information you want to in regards, like concerns about it?
I think that we should meet back up before our next meeting. I think there needs to be a special call meeting. If you all can create those surveys within a week, we can send them out and we can meet 2 weeks from today. We get the parents enough time to fill them out, get them back, right? Within 2 weeks from today, we should be meeting, going over the results, and making a decision.
Ms. Johnson, would you be able to do that with the 8th graders, essentially within a week's time, have this survey created?
Sure.
Wait, that's Halloween. We gonna meet on Halloween?
Yep.
All right, so to make sure we're hearing this correctly, Alan has parents, my ILT and myself have the faculty and staff. Ms. Johnson and her 8th graders will do students, create the survey, distribute it to get input, and then bring those results back for our special call meeting on the 31st.
Yes, should that special call meeting be at 7:30, or do you all want the evening time? Let me know.
It's Halloween. We gotta do the morning.
Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
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 All righty, then. 7:30. You guys are awesome. Okay, moving to the next thing on the agenda is,
It's a supply room, our pantry.
oh yes, it is very important because Ms. Smith she wants to start purchasing some things in donation to have in that room, like deodorant, essential things that's needed, just in case if a student needed or a parent. So where are we with that?
So that's good information to know. And I want to make sure that we keep everything streamlined, because Ms. Tutson has been working with, I don't recall what teachers, but I know they have a pseudo plan together that looks really good. Even have a name for it, Cafe Revis, I think it was, that will meet the needs that the council has been requesting in terms of a pantry, so on, for our families. With that, I invited her to bring her ideals to the community engagement committee that meets on tomorrow, actually, tomorrow morning, just so we can streamline these ideas, make sure nobody's stepping on each other's toes, and then more minds together, going to lead to a better result. So we do have some ideas, and that committee will be meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Mr. Ritchie, did you say that someone I received a document. I believe, Ms. Allen, did you share a document?
Yes, I did. I just created a kind of a template that we can utilize. And it can just begin, like brainstorming. I kind of created and divided it into sections. And feel free to add sections and amend it any way you see fit. But it was just kind of a sheet for us to brainstorm what we will need and going forward. But just trying to encompass it all. And it's once you start thinking about the things that we do need it for, especially if it's food, there's some things that we will need to ensure that we're, keeping the food safe and just storing and things of that sort. So as I was just brainstorming, I realized it was much more than I could, kind of encompass. But if you can look at my sheet, I put it in the a link in the chat. So feel free to look at that. And again, you can add this. And I was going to share this with Ms. Tutson, but I wanted to talk to the committee to make sure I could share it so that we could bring her in with some of her ideas as well. So we did, Tutson and I did have a chance to talk briefly, I think at the end of one of our other meetings. And so we did have a chance to talk about some of the name options. Because that does have experience about pantries.
So I'm just wondering, Mr. Ritchie, are we on the same page? Are we talking about, because it said you mentioned cafe. I know that document said cafe. You mentioned someone was interested in sharing some information. Is that the same?
Thank you for that, Ms. Johnson, and apologies to you, Ms. Allen. I remember Ms. Tutson came to me. I just did not remember the name of the teacher she said she was working with, and clearly that's you. So apologies to you, Ms. Allen. But yes, this is exactly what we're talking about. She brought this idea to me. I said it goes perfectly with, what we want to do for Community Engagement Committee. And I told her to get in contact with Ms. Austin and asked her if she would join the Community Engagement Committee so we can start bringing these thoughts and ideas to fruition. Does that answer your question, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, thank you for the clarity.
I have a question. Since this is being established by the, what is it called, the Community Engagement Committee, are we working together with that committee, or is it something that will be pretty much handled by the committee?
So very good question, Ms. Allen. I can't take your baby away. And you know, I'm a firm believer in protecting intellectual property. So I think this ideal, even down to the name, is brilliant. So my suggestion to Ms. Tutson, as well as to you right now, is join the community engagement committee. You know what I'm saying? That way, as this process continues, we have agendas and action steps and notes that just shows how we're building. It gives the teachers a voice. You know what I'm saying? You guys are creating this. Basically, it's just let's make it more formal. Like there's a committee for that. Let's put these people to work. Does that make sense?
I have a question. Is that committee only open to your teachers and your staff?
That's a good question. I really don't see no reason why we cannot open it up to families and local business partners. So that's a good question. I don't see why we would have to keep it just faculty and staff.
I'm asking because I would like to join that meeting. Yeah, I would like to join that meeting. You all meet tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am. 7:45 a.m.
Is that in person or Zoom?
in person.
Okay. Miss Allen,
Ms. Allen, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I wasn't, it just seems like it is being removed from LSC to the community engagement, where I thought that it was something that, if I recall from the last minute, from the last meeting, that it was one of the members developed that idea. I think that was something that was going to be something that you would be able to have input on and maybe lead in some capacity. But now that is kind of being shifted to another committee outside of the LSC, correct?
Well, not necessarily. Was one of the LSC subcommittees handling this? Like, I don't want to grab it out of a subcommittee's hand. As it was expressed to me, I thought it was an ideal of Ms. Tutson's, and now that I know yours.
No, that it was actually, it came from another council member. And after another meeting outside of this, I just shared that we're creating or establishing this pantry to the teachers that were part of this meeting. Ms. Tutson expressed to me that she's had some experience with pantries. Therefore, I went in and explained to her what we were trying to do. And we, for maybe 5 minutes, brainstormed back and forth. But it was something that I did share with another committee, another committee that we were doing with LSC. It was not the intent for it to be, removed from LSC to the community engagement necessarily. That was not the intent. But I would like to maybe talk to the member of the council to see if that was okay to do.
So no need for that. We're going to make it real easy. If the intention was this for this to be an LSC activity, and that's what y'all want to do, we will keep it there. I will inform Community Engagement Committee of what you guys are doing, and then you can just reach out to us if you need any assistance. So as of right now, we're going to keep it LSC. You guys just come to us and ask us if you need anything.
Yeah, and apology for that. That was not what I was saying necessarily. I was just putting it out there just in case I was not sure of that. I wanted to talk to the council member to ensure that was okay in the sense to have to find the other committee and join that committee. And that wasn't something I wanted you to do in the moment. It was just to leave it on the table. That's all.
So let me say this. The purpose of the closet, because I know me and Ms. Johnson have talked about it for the last few years. And I kind of had started it, but then me started working full time and COVID, things just kind of like fell by the wayside. But the purpose of it is for us to service as many as our families as possible. So if that means that we have to grow and move things around, then that's what has to happen. I don't think that it's being taken from anything, but if it's gonna move, I don't care where it has to be moved to or the title of it. Let's just get this work done so we can have it and move forward, because what I don't want to do is stay stuck. So that's why I asked, is that meeting open? Because I have no problem joining that committee just to make sure things are moving forward. And anyone else who this is near dear to, I hope that they don't have a problem with joining that committee or even sitting in the meeting and having a say so. That way everyone is still being heard and we working together, opposed to you doing something different and we bump ahead.
I think that's it. And I'm glad that we're kind of having this discussion, because it sounded like we were doing everyone wants to be a blessing, wants to help, but it's like if we have all these parts and we're not sure, we're not on the same page, that's going to cause conflict and confusion when we all have the ultimate goal. So the ultimate goal is to serve the family. So if anyone's saying serve the family, we should all be together saying, where are we meeting? What are we doing to serve the family? And I think we're all saying the same thing, but I like it better that we are, there's a meeting coming up, and now we can all be at that meeting, and whatever is said here transfers over to that meeting. So, that's all.
Okay, perfect. So we are clear. No need to stop anything, Mr. Ritchie. I think community engagement is, that meeting is fine as long as any members that sit on the LLC, if you want to attend, that meeting is in person. It is at 7:45. I'm sure if you get to the school, Ms. Carroll can direct you wherever they are meeting at. If it is important to you, show up. We are trying to build and not tear each other down or prolong anything. This is years in the making. Now we have the opportunity to move forward. We have people that is willing to push. I say, let's not waste any time. Let's get it done. So thank you, Ms. Allen, for bringing that up. I think it was important. So if anyone did feel like they was being pushed out or left out, here's your opportunity. You have access to that meeting. Again, it's tomorrow at 7:45. Let's pay attention to that. Let's show up for that if you're serious.
I'm serious, Miss Perkins, but I have a class in the morning at 7, at 8. Well, I may be able to drop in a little bit, but I won't be able to stay. But I do have a morning class.
You can text me tonight and we can share notes and I can say what it is that needs to be said on your behalf, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. The next thing on the list, Ms. Allen, is...
It's the open comments.
We didn't discuss fundraising. We
I'm sorry. It's school-wide fundraising. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna ask, I always say your name wrong. Mr.
Brower.
Brown.
Okay. Hello, good morning, everyone. I would like to submit a proposal before the local school council. I sent this proposal to Chair Perkins and to Principal Ritchie last night through an email. This is a fundraiser that I've done previously at other schools that I've worked at. It's through Affy Tapple company, and they're very, very nice to deal with. They make it very easy for schools to do fundraising with them. And kind of my goal was, in meeting with Principal Ritchie and talking with Chair Perkins, is that we would use these funds from the fundraiser to offset costs for a 8th grade graduation field trip for students. Looking at the numbers last night and just kind of basing it off of kind of the cost per case of taffy apples, I was thinking that we could run the fundraiser from the end of October through December up until winter break. And during that time, I thought, I'm sure we could do more than that, but just a ballpark figure would be about 1,000 taffy apples during that time. And if we did sell about 1,000, which is 42 cases, at $2.50 a piece for each taffy apple, that would be a revenue of $2,520. The expenses would be $1,092, which would be buying 42 cases. That would be 1,008 taffy apples, which would leave us with a profit from the event, should we sell through 1,000 taffy apples, of $1,428. 100% of which would go toward fundraising for the 8th grade trip, and that would pretty much cover 2 air-conditioned buses almost for a trip to Springfield. It wouldn't cover the accommodations, but it would be well on the way to covering the transportation costs if they chose to go somewhere like Springfield for their 8th grade trip. So that was a goal for that. I would like to open the floor if anybody has any questions to ask me about this. There are some logistics that we do still need to work out. We need to work out whether we would be ordering them through order form. That's one way that they do it. Another way is that you can purchase taffy apples and then sell them at a stand during certain hours after school or before school, and parents can purchase them directly. That we would need to work out those details, but they're pretty easy to pick up and get. I can do that with my car. I just need also like a group of parents that would be willing to volunteer to help sell them at a stand. So those are some details to work out on the plan. This seems like something that would be an easy way to start the ball rolling and collecting funds to save for this trip. And as it was stated earlier, this is really important to our upper grade students. Gives them a goal toward that graduation, and being here in school and doing their work and wanting to graduate and go on their trip, and it's just another incentive for them to be to solidify their investment here at Revis.
Okay, so I've talked to a few parents and kind of bounced that idea around. They have a problem with the apples being $2.50, and they said they could go to Walgreens and get it for $2. I did say if you go to Walgreens, you're not supporting our kids, but I'm wondering if we do the apples that's right there, like at a stand, can we sell those apples for $2, and any apples they order would be $2.50? But the apples that can be $2?
We would have to substantially, in order to make enough of a profit to make it worthwhile to do it, you would need to sell them for $2.50 a piece. In Walgreens, those usually have Walgreens sells them for $2 a taffy apple. They're selling them on special, and to be honest, Walgreens in doing so is not making much of a profit on it. It's more of a draw to get people into their store, compared to what Affy Taffy is reporting of what they cost per case, which they cost $25 a case just to purchase them. So you want to make at least a 50%, if not more, markup in order to make a profit, to make it worthwhile to do the fundraiser. The way that Walgreens is selling Affy Taffy apples, they're not even making a 50% markup on what they're selling. They're using it as a draw to get customers to come in their store and buy other things.
I'm just afraid that they will go to Walgreens. To me, it's 50 cents. To them, I don't know. Also, I know that the teacher's gonna have to go. So I asked the council, can we vote on the taffy apples before you all have to get off this meeting? Can we vote to approve this fundraiser? Anyone want to make a motion for the taffy apple sale?
I motion to approve the vote, but I just wanted to say you could probably sell the taffy apples better if you set up the stand at lunchtime. That way, all the kids will get a chance to pass by and get it. You know, where the breakfast table is set up in the back of the wall by the lunchroom. If we set it up like that there during the lunch period, then kids will be able to purchase it.
Ms. Tobridge, I'm gonna be real with you. That kind of terrifies me. Just because all those peanuts, the majority of children that have an allergic reaction have them for the first time in school, and there was no medical documentation of it previous. That just really makes me nervous.
Okay, but they serve peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But okay.
I believe those are sunflower butter and jelly.
They use sun butter.
Yeah, sun butter.
Okay. Okay.
Come on, I gotta go up there.
Do we have the option to look into any other fundraisers besides the taffy apples? I know, like the double good popcorn is a good one.
Yes.
So can we explore other options as opposed to taffy apples?
So the taffy apples is one of the things that we are going to do, and I hope that we can approve it today, but that's not the only thing that we are going to do. We talked about the popcorn. We just not had the opportunity to get the fundraiser form filled out. So, yes, that's definitely good. I see a lot of schools are doing the popcorn as well. Can we vote to approve the taffy apples for today so we can start that?
I motion to approve the taffy apple fundraiser.
Anyone seconds that motion?
I second the motion.
All in favor? I ask that we use the last roll call. So, are there any no's? Any abstentions? The fundraiser passes with 7 yeses, no no's, and no abstentions. Open comment. Do anyone have any open comments? Okay.
I think just before we get off, I know I'm on the community engagement committee. So if anyone's interested, Miss Allen or Miss Johnson, I could be that middleman. instead of you all, taking on more committees than you already have. Does that sound okay?
Miss Raya, do you have time to meet me today?
Meet with you. My prep's at 2:45. I'm free then, if you're free during that time.
I'll come meet with you today.
Okay.
Right, and Ms. Raya, when you're saying the middleman is pertaining to the cafe or the pantry?
Yes. So I could kind of share
be
information that we're talking, that we're talking about, so we can all stay on the same page for community engagement. Because I know I plan to log into LSC.
Right, and I appreciate that, and I just feel I just wanted to just note that it wasn't an attempt to keep the cafe in the LSC. It's to shift it to the community engagement. It was not necessarily an issue. I was just inquiring, trying to get a firm understanding that would be no longer within the LSC, which is fine. It was, that was not the. I spoke with Ms. Tutson. We did talk about it, and I shared it with the PBC meeting, but it was just it was an announcement, so to speak. But as it stands now, it's not a problem at all. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, and then about the taffy apples, what about if we sell them also at our sporting events? I know they have like volleyball games, soccer games through urban initiatives. Is that something that's allowed at
That would be a
our
great
sporting
idea, Ms.
events?
Ryan. Thank you for suggesting it. You mean the ones that are home games or away games?
I think both. If we can get somebody, committed to fundraising on the eighth grade team, an eighth grade student even, and then a parent with an eighth grade, because I know the fundraising is for their trip. So, and I think, making it, kind of transparent to parents, hey, this is to help our eighth graders, with transportation. I think it would, help them kind of be able to, or be more open to paying that $2.50 rather than going across the Walgreens for $2. So I don't know, just my suggestion.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Miss Wilson.
Hello, this is Johnson. I have students now. I'm headed out of the meeting.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Wilson put something in the chat. He stated that he would like to thank one of his parents. Mr. Wilson, you on here?
I think he probably logged off as well.
Okay.
Just a side note, I just wanted to say that we could, there's a third flavor that they don't offer at Walgreens that we could also get. It's a chocolate chip flavor that they don't offer at Walgreens as well. So I will look into purchasing those as well.
Mr. Wilson would like to thank one of his parents from his class and our parent from Revis, Miss Turner, for attending the meeting. Thank you once again from Mr. Wilson and from myself. Is she still on here? I hope so. Thank you. The next meeting date. Well, it will be the special call meeting, which is October the 31st at 7:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
It is 8:48, and this meeting is adjourned. Was there anything else I was supposed to say? No?
Nope, I don't believe so.
I think we're good.
Okay, you guys have a great day.
Take care, Council. Have a good week.